as I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days.
Okay.
So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mark Brown Show / the Lowdown Podcast. Remember, it's on YouTube and it's on Apple, Spotify, every platform you can think of when it comes to getting your podcast. Now, I have another major guest on the show. This man has been relevant for a long time now. I mean, he's a legend. Not only he played college basketball, he's now the king of NBA memes. So if you ever get on Twitter, he has memes on Twitter all the time about the NBA. Same thing on Instagram. And he also is a writer. He's a producer. He had his own show on Comedy Central. I mean, he's doing a lot of things, and his name is Josiah Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, bro. I appreciate you.
Hey, anytime. So starting off, man, so what prompted you to become, a writer and a producer? So how did you do that, transitioning from college basketball into this, limelight?
I grew up in Los Angeles, so I've been around it for a long, long time. My dad played professionally for the Bucks and the Clippers, but he was also an actor too, so he appeared in a bunch of shows. So as a kid, I would spend a lot of time on sets in Hollywood, doing stuff, just kind of learning, reading scripts, running over lines with him. Like, he was in White Man Can't Jump when I was a little kid. So I remember, reading that script with him, helping him practice, get his stuff together. So I've just always been around the world, always been, super enamored and immersed with it. So I always knew that, eventually someday, once the hoop stopped, that this would be the world that I got into. Didn't really know how I was going to do it, obviously, growing up, but knew that I wanted to, make TV shows, make movies, be a part of that whole life, because I just grew up with it and saw that whole world growing up. So it's like I knew it was going to be there some way, somehow, so I just had to figure out how to do it.
Man, talk about father like son, and I'm not talking about Lil Wayne and Birdman, that's. But anyway, so when you went to college at UCLA, so was that always on your mind? So you said that obviously your father was an actor too, so you always had that on your mind while you played sports, or did it change as time went on?
So as a kid, I used to write scripts and stuff. Used to act in little short films. I was blessed to go to schools that had those type of resources available. So growing up in Los Angeles, obviously it's a very entertainment friendly kind of community. So going to school with all types of kids whose parents were directors and actors and all that type of good stuff. So really got immersed kind of in the culture and in that world. So been doing it ever since I was a little kid. I've been writing scripts probably since I was 7, 8 years old, and then making stuff since I was probably 10 or 11. But always just, love having ideas, creativity, trying to be funny. And I think, the world, thankfully the social media world, the way it is now structured, anybody can create an account and put out hot fire. So for me, it's just I just see it as an opportunity to connect, network, also entertain people through good times, tough times, whatever it may be. But I just like to entertain, man. I just like to, keep the mood light and, use humor and satire as a way just to, keep everything light.
Oh, that's well said, man. It's sure working, that's for sure. Because every time I'm on Twitter, it seems like after every game in the NBA playoffs or just in general, I'll see it'll pop up. It'll say King Josiah, and you have a meme, and I'm like, oh man, that's just gold. You can't I can't really see anybody else surpassing that, man. You've really set the tone for young creators out there, and plus you're still young too, so you got a long life ahead of you, and the fact that you're doing all kinds of multiple things all at once, can't even speak for some reason, but you're utilizing your platform. And I mean, it's all over the internet. And I noticed another thing is this year is really setting you off too, because I mean, this year's obviously you can separate 2020 from all of the other previous years due to, COVID and all the chaos that's going on in the world. And since more people have more time to be on their phones and, stuff like that, or their laptop, they can definitely see all your content that you're putting out. And it's sure working, especially with the NBA playoff bubble, at hand right now. That is also a huge opportunity for you to keep going. And I noticed that it's just blowing up. People, in my TL, are always retweeting and liking it. I'm because it's too funny. I just can't see. I don't think there'll ever be a time where it won't be funny, because, I feel like you're a naturally funny person, and it's taking you really far. And so were you always into comedy as a kid, or did it just, come to fruition as time went on?
I mean, I got a really funny family. I got a lot of brothers. My dad's hilarious. My older brother, Chris, is hilarious. My younger brothers are hilarious. So we like to joke around, crack jokes, have a good time. But also, people see the stuff I post, and I just have a super deep library of pop culture this is the one thing I tell people that want to get into the content creation world is like, you got to live. You got to see as much stuff as possible, consume as much media and content. Like as a kid, I just watch movies all day. That's why I can pull a 6-man clip or some other clip just out of my head when I see some stuff happening, because it's like, oh, I remember all these movies. I used to like study and live in that world and read as many scripts as I could and just know everything I could possibly know. So now when these things happen, people always ask me like, oh man, you got all those clips like lined up, ready to go. It's like, nah, dog, like I'll see something and it's like, oh wait, this reminds me of whatever it may be. Like with Luka, obviously in the Debo from Friday and stuff like that. Like I'll just see it like, oh, this would be a great time to use that or do this or do whatever. And stuff just pops. I got a super deep, deep library of stuff I've seen. Fortunate to see, a ton of just like John Singleton movies, but also just random stuff. So, I got a huge library. So whenever stuff comes up, I try and dip into that and say, what's this thing that's going to make the most people react to this and respond to this and really laugh and just kind of feel good about it. So that's kind of, that's how I get it going.
Oh man, talk about a creative mind right there, especially being like the king of pop culture. Not only that, just like, incorporating sports or, comedy or just action movies, anything when it comes to different forms of entertainment, you're that guy. So that's definitely a huge takeaway for you. So when you were playing basketball at UCLA, did you have aspirations to continue playing sports, or did you always want to be ultimately, a content producer?
So I went into UCLA and I thought I was pretty good. Like I was like USA Today honorable mention, All-America as a senior in high school, did pretty well. But I got there and it was just a whole nother world. Like, we talk about like the change from high school to college. Everybody's a grown man, pros. I'm playing with guys like Trevor Ariza, Dan Gadzuri, Jason Capono, Earl Watson, like people Matt Barnes, people that are like, oh, these guys are going to be pros. So very early on, I kind of realized like it would probably be tough for me. I did, in the back of my mind, dream about going and playing overseas for a little bit and being able to see the world and kind of just still making some money playing ball. But then I had like 2 little brothers and all my family out here, so I didn't really want to do that. And I seen kind of how my older brother, he played professionally in a bunch of different countries and kind of, was traveling all over the world, like Turkey, Lebanon, just, crazy places. But, we wouldn't see him for 8 months out of the year. And I just know that kind of separation, definitely hurt him a lot, not being able to be around us and be with us. So somewhere along the line, probably my second year, I remember I worked out super hard, came back my second year and kind of realized like, oh, it's probably not going to happen for me. So at that point, it's like, look, I got to figure out what I'm going to do next in life. So it wasn't necessarily content creation. I just knew I wanted to do something in the entertainment space. I obviously love sports. So I kind of got into the game through that way. I was a production assistant with Fox Sports and NFL Network, just, working a couple days a week, doing highlights, doing basic stuff, just kind of learning the game. And then, was able to transform that to the entertainment side, getting the show with Comedy Central, doing stuff like that. So for me, it was always just kind of being a go-getter, self-starter. I was running a website called Jersey Chaser back in like 08, 09, which was like off-kilter sports content, kind of like a Bleacher Report or a Barstool before the Black community, really kind of with the athlete first in mind. So I was really doing like working in the square world, but then also doing that on the side just to really kind of train myself. Probably wrote like 4,000 articles in like a 2 or 3 year window, broke a lot of news, broke a lot of stories, just being active socially and kind of seeing what was going on in the world. But, so did that. And then from there, just like, yeah, I knew like basketball wasn't going to be the thing forever. Didn't really want to be a coach, kind of, didn't want to go that route. And I knew I loved entertainment. So just kind of, got in where I fit in and then, kept it moving.
Man, that's a really interesting journey right there. I mean, that's unique in my opinion, because I know it's a lot of athletes whenever they come and go, especially whether it's basketball, football, track and field, any student athlete that, steps foot at any Power 5 school, most of the time whenever they finish, they usually have an idea of becoming like a strength and conditioning coach, or maybe, an assistant coach, a GA, or anything in that category. And then to see you just like turn it around and just jump into the entertainment world is just very special, and it's taking you really far. So how many years would you say you've been doing this now?
I graduated college in 05. We were doing a little bit of stuff around then, so probably close to like 15 years of, making content, doing stuff. So you learn a lot in those spaces. Like, it's funny, stuff I was doing 10 years ago, people are still doing now and acting like it's new. So I see a lot of stuff that just kind of makes me laugh, because a lot, we were doing a lot of stuff back in the day that people now, when we didn't have access to videos and all that type of stuff, there was just, like nowadays everything is instantaneous. You drop a funny video on Twitter, within a minute somebody disvidded you and grabbing the video from you, rerunning it as their own video or whatever. So it's just a crazy world with the content space. But for me, just to see the way it's developed over these past 15 years and how cool it is now, and You know, I was making memes probably 10 years ago, not realizing they were memes, not thinking there was a world in it. Just like, I got a funny article. I want to put a funny picture with it to make people crack up. So hopefully they'll click through and read the article. And now the whole world is literally like, you look at major companies, they got a little whole team just specializing in memes. And you got people, you know, making, you know, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars a year just, you know, running memes. A lot of times they're not even theirs, but just aggregating content, curating memes, and grabbing all the funny stuff that people say. I think that's the cool thing for me about social, is that there's so many talented, amazing people out there that now have the ability. Like 20 years ago, if you wanted to make a movie or do things like that, you know, the economics of it just weren't realistic. Now, the equipment you have, you can shoot a movie on your iPhone. You could become a content creator, you know, overnight, just using the basic resources, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. So it's cool that, you know, within the span of, you've seen like some of these TikTokers within the span of months go from 0 following account to 50 million, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's just like, this is the world we live in now. If your content's hot, people will find it and, you know, be able to live a good life off of it. So.
Yeah. And then that's a good point too, because now it's like, you got to make yourself stand out in a way. So when you, based off of that statement that you had, what prompts you to stand out compared to other, you know, content creators out there?
I just figure out, you know, people ask me a lot, like, how should I do this, do that? I mean, you got to just find your voice and find your lane and find stuff that's cool for you. Like, everything that I put out is a reflection of all my experiences in life. Like, you know, when I see stuff or whatever it may be, like I put out a 6-man meme last night in honor of Kobe, but it was a scene from the movie that people could relate to. And it's like, you know, those things just happen because I know, like, all right, people appreciate these. I try to dip kind of in, you know, even off-kilter stuff that I know that real ones have seen. Like, look, I'm a little bit older, so I really gear stuff towards my generation, but also make content for younger generations as well, too. But I just do stuff that's authentic and true to me. So what I try to tell people is, like, find your voice, find the stuff that you like. Like, when you're on the group chat with your friends, what are the things you say that make them laugh? Then, like, all right, now take that, harness that, and bring that to social. So for me, I've always been kind of quick with the jokes or whatever. I can just always, you know, compare something or transform some media, take a song or rewrite it and make a new song, or take a clip from a movie and make people look at it in a whole transformed new light. So for me, it's just figuring out the stuff that I like, that I know a lot of people will resonate with, and then also like going back down memory lane and bringing back classics and hitters when people see, like, man, I haven't thought about that in 10 years, but I remember when I was a kid and I saw that movie, or, you know, whatever it may be, just to try and bring that nostalgia back. Like, well, my thing, there's always like levels to everything I'm posting. So, you know, I just try and find the deeper message and meaning behind stuff. A lot of it's satire, some humor. Sometimes I'm, you know, like I did a lot of Corona humor and satire early on just to help try and warn people on stuff that I knew would spread, so hopefully people would look at it and take it serious. But it's just figuring out ways, even with that type of stuff, with messages I want to get across, to do it in a way where humor and satire is the key, so people actually will listen to it and not feel like they're being preached to or being told something they don't want to hear.
Exactly. Especially during times like this, man. Like, I feel like just getting laughter out of anybody, because laughter is like really natural medicine if you think about it. Because anytime you laugh, they say it's good for your heart, it's good for your immune system. So it's always good to have, you know, to basically instill laughter into anybody. And especially during times like this, because we're just witnessing a lot of things going on, a lot of change happening within this year. Because I feel like the year 2020 is just really in its different phases. It's in its own lane, if you think about it. Because the first 2 months, it seemed like things were still, you know, relatively normal. And, well, actually, got to take that back because Kobe passed away in January. Yeah. That turned things around, obviously. And then just off of that, then Corona, and then it's just it's like a whole entire snowball effect. So, like, the fact that you're still working really hard and just pushing all of this content that you're putting out and it's working, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's definitely inspiring a bunch of people that are a little bit younger than you. So it's like, you know, you're a whole inspiration for the next generation of people, especially with all these platforms they can utilize, like you said. And so moving forward, so how did it feel to write your own show and have it on Comedy Central? Because I know Comedy Central is really popular for people that are young and middle-aged, because I noticed that it's been around for over 20 years or so. So, like, how does it feel to have your own show?
Honestly, man, that whole thing was crazy. So I got that. I was running a website called Jersey Chaser, like I told you. So I was basically living a dual life. Like, I was working my regular job at NFL Network as a associate producer, whatever it may have been at that point. And then I would also be running the website. So I'd be putting up content while I was at work. I would duck off, you know, on work computer to put up a story or whatever it may be. If any news broke or a funny clip or whatever, it was kind of just like, you know, my world of stuff I saw. So from that, we also started doing like funny YouTube content. So this is right like around like 2009. So the Kobe and LeBron puppet parodies, it just came out. And they were expecting Kobe and LeBron to play in the finals. Like, you know, the parodies were legendary. But we took those and remixed a few of them, revoiced them, made them super raunchy. Like, I was a big LeBron fan at that point, so we made him like pro LeBron, like LeBron was clowning Kobe. And those things ended up going viral. So from that, we got the attention of a couple of guys that were working in animation. And they were literally, trying to develop a show around LeBron. We kind of took a look at it. Me and my boys who I played at UCLA with, we were all a crew that lived together. We sat on the end of the bench and we used to like joke around during games and shit, just kind of occupy our time. So basically, so these guys we met in animation were like, well, you guys got any ideas? So I was like, yeah, we sat on the bench at UCLA, had these crazy times, like funny stories. Maybe there's some in that, like their eyes lit up. And then from that was basically able to transform that into Legends of Chamberlain Heights, which ran for 2 seasons on Comedy Central. Got 20 episodes. So that was a whole new world, man. Animation and I did a couple voices on the show, but just being immersed in that world, having to write and kind of be the star of a show and learning social media, that's where I really learned how to do social. So I was running the show accounts. And at that point, I didn't really know a lot about social, but I was like, look, I love this show. I created the show. I want the show to succeed. So I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make it possible. And I knew social was a way to really, get good messaging out, get good promotion and marketing and a way to do that. So that's where I kind of got my first entry point. I built up the Legends account to close to like 100,000 followers at its height. And then from that, my wife would always just tell me like, yo, you should be, using that on your own stuff. Like, the show may not last forever. So you want to have something, when it's done to show for it. And I didn't really listen to her. Then the show ended up being canceled. Then I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going to go ahead and start just, putting my own content out, doing my own stuff. And that's kind of where it really started. So right around like 2017, 2018-ish, where I really started taking it serious on my own account. And then over the past couple of years, been blessed to really, get cosigns from Jordan Peele, Ice Cube, Shannon Sharp, Jamel Hill, everybody you could think of. So from that 2-year window, that's why I would try and motivate and tell people like, look, within a short span, if you're consistent and you do this right, you have the opportunity to really elevate yourself and, find yourself work. Like I've gotten several jobs off of just social. And I keep myself sharp. Like I'm a professional writer by trade. So for me to be able to, I love pop culture and being timely and topical, kind of that South Park model. So I need to know what's going on in the world. So I need to constantly be immersed in everything that's going on in social. What are the trends? Is it WAP? Is it whatever? What's going on? Like what are people talking about? And then just, go from there, kind of always just stay in the conversation.
Yeah, see, that's also very important. The fact that, you made yourself more marketable, not knowing just sports, but also everything else of entertainment, like whether it's a great book or great TV shows and stuff like that, so you can write reviews on that. So the fact that you can write not just only sports, but also about entertainment, that makes you just more marketable. And then the fact that you mentioned Jamel Hill, all these other bigger names that have like really showed their support towards you, also is a huge takeaway. The fact that you can do all this, you can work with just about anybody in the entertainment world, and you can also provide any content. So it's like, this is really, really, I don't think people realize this, but this is actually legendary, the fact that you're taking advantage of this, because, all these younger people that are, especially people that are coming out of high school right now, those kids are still, getting the hang of what's going on, especially in the world, especially with social media, because social media it's evolved so much. I mean, if you look back just 2 years, I mean, TikTok came out in 2018, apparently, and now it really took off during, the pandemic, unfortunately, but that's when it really took off. And it's like, you go back 10 years, what do we have? Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram didn't really become a thing until the end of 2010. And Instagram really started to blow up around, I say, between 2013 to present day is when it really started to, generate more followers and stuff like that, or more users. Yeah. So it's like to see the fact, because I feel like at this point in time, anything could change. Like, especially with social media, there's always going to be a new platform. There's always going to be something new. I feel like technology is evolving much faster than we ever seen. So I would say that it's evolving at an exponential rate. And the fact that you're utilizing that really means a lot. And then so I feel like if you were to take, the previous generation, somebody that's like 30 years older than me or something like that in their 50s. So if you take somebody in their 50s, like I feel like they're in their time when they were in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, none of this stuff existed, right? So to see that much change in that short amount of time is just incredible. And then the fact that you're utilizing this really, really shows that, hey, that you can be, the prime example for everybody else. And the fact, shoot, who knows how far you'll go? I mean, I feel like this is only the beginning for you, because the fact that you started this about a couple years back. So do you have any big time goals set ahead? You want to start your own label or something like that, like a major network or?
Yeah, I definitely world domination, just total takeover. I think, people see the memes. A lot of people just think of me like, oh, you're just the meme guy. It's like, no, it's those are my pickup games. That's what I just do for fun, to break a nice light sweat and stay relevant, stay in the conversation. Really, I'm writing, creating, producing, all types of stuff behind the scenes. But I really want to kind of give back to this next generation too, especially in the Black community. I think in 2020, we've seen kind of what the situation is. I know a lot of people try to convince themselves that, we were better than previous times or whatever. But, every day you wake up, you're seeing, some type of situation that just lets you know that we're not as far along as we'd like to pretend we are, especially with this election coming up and kind of all those situations, the Postal Service trying to, with the mail-in ballots and all just kind of janky stuff going on. So for me, it's like to be able to give back to this next generation and show people like yourself that it's possible. Like, it's very possible. Like, you can do it, but you have to take it serious. You can't bullshit. You can't not put in the work and then expect to get the reward. So it's also knowing, like, I try to warn people, like, you're going to get a lot of rejection in this game. Like, there was a point last year, everybody hits me on my Twitter now, like, oh, he can't miss, and he does whatever, he's the king of this and that. But there was a point last year for like a good month and a half where I was just getting killed, like literally just like hundreds of kids with the tomatoes and the SpongeBob, like me clowning, basically just killing me, like, to the point where it was like, damn, I was wondering, like, yo, should I even just get off social? Because as a creative and a creator, everybody thinks about the positive shit, but you also deal with a ton of the negative. Like, having a Twitter, anybody can come at you and say whatever they want. So now as my following is growing, I become a big target for people who want to, disrespect me, disrespect my family, basically talking a way that they wouldn't talk if we were face to face. Like, I'm 6'8", 300 pounds. I'm comfortable in any situation, any environment. So that's why I like to tell people, it's like, you want to do this stuff on Twitter and that's fine, but you'll see me in real life. And when you see me in real life, is it going to be the same energy, or is that whole thing going to shift and change? So it's just knowing those type of things as a creator, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to create. You want to find that kind of, it's like a spiritual uplifting feeling to come up with a great idea and execute it and watch it take off. But there's also that negativity that comes with it. And that, you have to bring balance to the force with the positive and the negative and not really worry about that. But that's a lot of things people don't understand. They get in this game, they get a few negative comments, or they put a video out that everybody clowns or whatever, and it's like you never see them again. Where me, it's like I'm going to keep hitting it to the point where, I love my haters. I love when people doubt me or people are petty or they think I can't do something. Like, I love nothing more than just to pull up on them and show them. It's funny, like, even like a couple days ago, it's funny, literally like a day or two ago, I put up some stuff. Wasn't really tripping, was minding my business at home with my kids and my family. But I saw a couple people with quote tweets talking shit. I was like, oh, okay. Trying to clown, trying to come at me. Okay, so I just went on the heater, like, all right. And if they don't even know it, I didn't respond to them, I didn't say anything, but I see that shit, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Ooh, like, all right, I got something for y'all. And then I proceed to just, I've been on the heater probably the last, 30 hours, just putting up, I think, a couple million view videos, a couple other things. But this is just, stuff I'm doing in my spare time, like I said. But whenever people want to challenge you or test you, you're young in life, you're going to apply for a lot of jobs. And sometimes you won't get the gig. It's like anytime that happens to me, I'm like, okay, I got something for your ass. I'm about to really take it to the concrete and get to the people. So at the end of the day, a lot of people I know are like, hey, man, how can I get in social? How can I do this? How can I do that? It's like, if you want to get in social, go create an account and get in social. But now leverage that network and now build a following, build friends. I've been able to build a lot of friends online who I really haven't probably met one or two times in real life. But we respect each other from a professional standpoint. I like the stuff they got going on. They like the stuff I got going on. So you build a whole community and network of people that may have never even met you that rock with you already. Like, we saw each other on the street. It's all love already just because, with the situation. But that's what I kind of tell people. Like, this is a whole world. So use it to network. Don't just use it like I'm going to come in and make a bunch of money or do this or do that. Use it to build a network, build your following, build up your whole brand, and show people who you really are.
Exactly. That's very well said, man. Plus, I feel like any public figure at this point, any public figure is going to have haters because, they just want to see you fail. And the fact that, that's really positive that you said that. The fact that you see all this negativity and use it as some way to, motivate yourself to continue to put out content and, despite whether you get backlash or not. And plus, at the end of the day, you're still going to have supporters too. And the support, there's always, I feel like the support is always just one. I feel like if you were to paint a picture, say you have one person or two people supporting you, and then there's 8 people that can't stand you, that they hate you, right? So they're the opposite. So they oppose whatever you stand for. So it's like, I feel like those 2 supporters alone outweigh those 8 people, those 8 haters. Because if one support, it just really boosts your confidence. And then, when you look at the haters too, it's like they just hating on you because they wish they were in your shoes or better than you. Because they'd rather have because they see that you have a status that's higher than theirs. So if people, it's just jealousy at the end of the day. So that's why anybody that's hating or clowning, I'm like, man, it's just, and plus I feel like Twitter's just filled with trolls, man. It's just nothing but trolls on there. Like people,
because people know they can say, they want to get that response and that reaction out of you. And that's when I used to be like, I'm guilty as just everybody. Like, people say stuff to me, I'll block them or I'll come at them. And it just got to a point where it's like, well, I'm wasting my time thinking about you instead of thinking about this next hot tweet I could put out, or this next TV show I can create, or this next whatever I could be doing. And at the end of the day, I only got 24 hours. Like, I'm getting older and I'm kind of realizing now, especially as a black man in America, we're an endangered species. We don't know when. You could just literally go to the store, do whatever, and you may not come back home. So for me, I just kind of operate like that. I don't ever want to become obsolete. I always want to be relevant, staying what's going on. But the haters is everything, man. As you build up this show, like, you'll have haters. I remember before we got on, you were like, you didn't expect me to hit you back and beyond. But it's like, I love people like yourself who are out here doing it, trying to take advantage of all the resources that are available. You could easily be sitting at home right now, not doing shit, wasting your time, complaining about everything everybody else is doing. But now you're here trying to do something, trying to better yourself, trying to, make yourself stronger and make yourself more marketable. So it's like when people like yourself reach out to me, I always try and do pods or do whatever, because I know, like, I've been on that other side. I have people that looked out for me when I was trying to come up, that gave me opportunities that didn't have to. And it's like, for me, it's really important to me, especially people look like us. It's like, shit, man, I know we got enough going on in the world, enough to worry about. So let me just try to help. Like, I get hit up all the time by people. Can you read a script? Can you do this? Can you do that? I'm more than happy to jump on the phone for 5-10 minutes, give people a pep talk, give them some advice, give them something to just, I feel like too often in life, and I even get it at the highest level. Like, I just did a show with Ava DuVernay, and still in the Hollywood side, when I come with ideas, still get like, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. It's like, what do you, like, huh? Like, I'm like, my shit is proven. Like, if I'm coming with you with anything, it's fire, but still deal with those things. So I know people like yourself that are on the come up, sometimes you just need to be somebody to tell you, like, yo, keep going, bro. You can do it. Like, shit, I did it. There's nothing really special about me except that I like to work hard and grind. So somebody like yourself looking like, damn, how can I get to that level? It's like, put in the work. I don't cheat. You can't not do work and then expect to get a result. And I think that's what a lot of kids do, a lot of people that are growing up. Like, oh, I tried to do this really hard for a week and it didn't work out, so I gave up, or 2 weeks or 3. It's like, this is years. Like, people see me now as like the king of NBA Twitter, whatever. I just kind of laugh. Like, if they saw where I was doing this shit from, I literally do it from my house with my kids running around. I'm not no like office or no social team or whatever. I'm literally just like watching the game. Oh, look, we just did some shit. Here, let me put some fire up. Like, but I think people oftentimes think, oh, I got to be in the right mood or mindset or whatever. It's like, I like to act more like I grew up in the era of like Lil Wayne and Drake, right? Wayne would put out 300 songs in a year. Wayne will hop on everybody else's beat and put a song out, not to make no bread, just to keep his name on your mind, build up his following. But really what it did was he put all that content out for free, but he built his following up to become the hottest rapper in the game, because they knew at no point, I'm giving you like 2 albums, 5 mixtapes. At no point are you not thinking about me. And when you stop thinking about me, here's some more heat I'm about to drop for you. And I feel like that's how I operate. But a lot of people nowadays operate like R&B singers. Like, they need everything to be perfect, and they need the studio and everything to be ready to go. And it's like, go to work. Like, put in the work, put in the effort, and more times than not, it'll pay off. Sometimes it don't, but at the end of the day, like, you got to put it in to find out.
Oh, man, I agree. I agree 100%, man. Like, I don't, no matter what, I'm just going to keep doing this, man. I don't care if people listen to it or not. I'm just going to keep going because it's a lot of fun. I like doing it because I'm aspiring to a sports reporter. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'll do anything I can to get to that point. And I'm just happy I got my foot in the door. I mean, I may be doing news for now, but I'm still going to, keep my head held high. And I just got the news from one of my bosses that I'll be able to help, with the sports team at the station, the TV station I work at. So I'll be able to help out with high school football, which starts this Friday. I mean, I'm still going to be doing some photo talk stuff, but hey, that's better than nothing. I said I'm willing to help, and they said I might get an opportunity to do some live shots, meaning that I'll be able to talk to coaches and stuff like that. Hey, man, if I get the opportunity, count me in. So
I think the thing for people like yourself is to always stay ready. Don't feel limited to. I think you were talking about older generations and how they move. Like, it's funny. I started in TV like 2005-ish, but all the people that were older than us, they lived back in the day, like where the editing was different. Everything was different back in those days. You used to edit tape to tape. So you literally had to, if you wanted to put highlights together, like, go grab one tape, go grab the next one, put them together. It was so in their 10-hour day, like, they're not accomplishing that much. Meanwhile, in 2005, in my 10-hour day, I'm literally producing out a whole show just because our editing is more streamlined. I can get the clips out faster. So everything is, and now you're even saying what you guys in this time, these 2020s, like, the stuff you guys can do, the content you can make on the fly is like unlike anything else like I've ever seen in life. So you got a ton of opportunity. For somebody like yourself, take that opportunity. Go get your photos. But while you're there, shit, even if they don't let you go get questions, go ask some questions for yourself just to practice and learn. You know what I mean? Just to build your stuff. That's the thing when people get into production, I always tell them, like, you come in as a PA, your job is not a PA. Your job is to see the job that you want and start learning how to do that job. To do it in your spare time. Come to work, do your regular PA job. But if you want to be a director, go chill with the director. Go ask them some questions. Just go sit in the studio while they're doing a show. Take notes, learn. learn what everybody's doing in there, learn how they communicate, learn all those things. At the end of the day, if you just go in to be a PA, well, you're going to stay a PA. You're going to be a PA for a long ass time if you just learn how to do that job correct. Go do that job and the job you want, and then you can get to that point. Because that's the thing, you got the time advantage. I mean, I'm old now. I've already hit that point. You're young. You got to figure these things out. But as you do them, you start doing them and doing them and doing them, you learn them. Like that's the whole thing with like repetition and all that whole game. And that's especially for black men in America, black women in America who really haven't gotten these opportunities a lot. It's like when we get them, we got to take advantage of them and put on that next generation and be available to mentor and guide and help and do whatever else it takes to ensure that we can get the generational wealth that other people have in this country.
Exactly, man. I'm definitely looking forward to this. And the fact and you still have time on your hands too. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still have time too. And then the fact that you're already working your way up and still working, man, that's just, like I said, it's very inspiring. And speaking of the NBA, I wanted to bring this up because I know you're on the time crunch too. So right now in the NBA bubble, we've already seen 3 teams now get swept. And mainly it was in the, you look at the East already, you saw Philadelphia got swept by the Celtics. And then when you look at, the Nets, that was expected. I already knew the Nets were going to get swept because they didn't have all their key players even playing. And then you saw the Pacers also get swept. So it's like, man, that all happened in the Eastern Conference. So to see these guys all advance, it's just going to be incredible to see what happens. And then for the West, it's even more entertaining in my opinion, because these teams, nobody got swept, obviously, and it's more teams are, they're still battling out. Like you see the Clippers and the Mavs are tied 2-2. The Thunder, Rockets tied 2-2. Now, the only team that I see is struggling right now, well, they're pretty much done, is the Trailblazers, because Portland, there was reports saying that Damian Lillard is injured, and chances are he's going to be out in the next game. So it looks like they're going to be out, and it's going to be out in 5. So, I mean, the Lakers looked unstoppable last night just to see how these teams are advancing in the West. So, like, do you have any key predictions? Like, who do you think's going to the finals for the East and West?
Like, this is I think what Luka's done in the West has made it, the East has been pretty snooze fest, which is come to expect because the bottom half of the East is trash. Let's just be real. Like, like, I feel like the Suns at the 8th seed in the East would have gave the Bucks at least, 2 losses. But, I think looking at the West and everything going on, even the Thunder the Thunder Rockets series, like every series is about, except for obviously Lakers Blazers. But even that, Blazers came out and got the win game 1. There was some woofing going on. Charles Barkley saying the sweep was coming, whatever. But I had the Lakers playing on Kobe Day yesterday with came through with the Mamba jerseys. They couldn't let Kobe down. They had to really bust them cheeks for that game. But I think whatever happens in this Clippers Mavs, I think the Mavs are without Porzingis again. But if Luka can get out of this first round, I think Luka, honestly, he's going to be the GOAT. And now I'll just kind of and I'm a big LeBron guy. I do not say that lightly. But what I've seen from this kid, even at 18, 19, playing in EuroLeague, playing with grown men, the way he just honestly because the thing about Luke is, like, you look at that guy, he looks like an everyday human. Like, he doesn't look like he works out. He looks like he just drink beers all day or whatever. But you get him on the court, and the stuff he's giving you is like a, magic LeBron. It's just with the Larry jumper, like, it's something that I've never really seen before. And even LeBron, I don't feel like was at this elite level coming in, because LeBron still had to play high school ball and all those good things. He wasn't playing pros like a 16-year-old, kind of living that life. So he was even a little bit behind. But I think for me, if the Mavs can get past it, I'm ready to crown Luka. But I want to say, I still want to see that Lakers Clippers Western Conference Finals. I think Lakers are going to go ahead and win it, in honor and in tribute of Kobe. Not saying that's the reason they have to, but just out of respect for the legend, and just the tragedy. I think, for the city's been hurting. We had Nipsey last year, obviously Kobe this year. City's really been hurting and really needs, a W like this just to bring everybody together and kind of, get everybody back, on the right track.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, especially like the way they play. If the Lakers continue to play like they did last night, I mean, LeBron dropped the 30 points, went off. So if you see AD and LeBron playing at that intensity, if they both go off, I don't see whoever the winner of the Thunder and the Rockets are. I can't see them getting past the Lakers at all. I can't see that happening in the semis. And then the other team I noticed in the West that really surprised me was Denver is down. They dropped to 3-1. And Donovan Mitchell has been going off. He's actually the stat leader when it comes to points per game in the entire playoffs. So it's like this guy's been going off. He already put up 57 points in game 1 when they went to overtime. So he was just 6 points off of Michael Jordan's 63-point record as the most playoff points in history. So it's like, to see the way he's playing, and they have to play the winner of the Clippers and the Mavs. So, like, I just think, oh, man, it's just tough to predict. And then, like you said, I agree with the Luka thing. Like, Luka is really stepped up. This is only his second year. And the fact that he's playing like this, man, with all this confidence, I mean, and people using that excuse saying he played pro in Europe. I'm like, yeah, you got a point. But at the same time, like, this is the NBA. These are the greatest players in the world that you're competing against. And this is only his second year, and he's playing like he's been in the league for at least 5 or 6 years. So the fact that he's playing like this really tells you how much room he has left to grow and how great he can become. Like, we can see this guy, like you said, I can see him being a GOAT and GOAT conversation really soon. If he, start getting some championships in there, man. Because, like, Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless and all these guys just a couple years back when he got drafted in 2018, didn't even see him getting past Dirk Nowitzki status. They didn't see – they're like, oh, he'll just be like another Dirk but slower. So they're already wrong at this point.
And I think a lot of people are wrong, but that's another thing too. It's like sometimes people are wrong. Like, I think, and that's the thing, that some guys use that as fuel to their fire and get to the level they need to get to. Sometimes they don't. But Luka, and then when I remember when Luka came out, I forgot what I said specifically, but I wasn't just like, oh, this dude is the truth. I definitely have respect for the guy. Like, he's playing over, there's a lot to be said, and I got to live in Italy for a little bit. My dad played over there, but the way that they're structured with their basketball and how they treat them basically like academies, like these dudes go to hoop academies at a young age, and they're literally taught the game, taught the fundamentals. So I think him having that, and look, he was destined to do this no matter what, but having those resources early on to harness that talent, and at like 16 playing pro, getting a couple of looks with the senior team, but having to go up against 30-some-year-old men who don't care how old you are, looking at, basically you as just fresh meat, like whatever, like an easy bucket to get on. But having to learn those things and now get to this level as a 21-year-old where he's literally dropping 40 pieces on the Clippers, who I was led to believe were the champs. That's what everybody was saying, allegedly. But, on paper and reality were two different things. So to see the way this kid has been reacting, especially not having Porzingis last game, it's like, what else? Porzingis with the game winner after, a gutsy, 43-point effort, to me is like, yo, what else do you want from the kid? What else you want him to do? With the janky ankle, it's like, man.
Yeah, talk about pure confidence right there. That dude just put the team on his back and said, I am going all out, and I am not stopping until that buzzer is off. And whether it takes me the last shot, see, that's another thing. So you barely ever see that. A lot of players don't really have the confidence to take, the buzzer beater, So now you can put him in that conversation of, like, who you taking, like, who takes the last shot? Put Luka in that conversation, because people talk about that they put obviously Steph Curry in that conversation, Damian Lillard. Now you can put Luka in there, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. I mean, the list just goes on with the last shot. And then so it's like, definitely put him in there for sure. And he's the youngest out of all these guys, because, you can even put LeBron in there in some circumstances, because there's times where LeBron, he'll be on and off when it comes to shooting. That's not his greatest skill. But when it comes to attacking the basket and overall basically basketball in general, like when it comes to playing defense, getting rebounds, passing, like LeBron's one of, I think, arguably the greatest passer I've ever seen. So it's like, to see that happen, Luka is working his way up in that conversation. And LeBron, you already know he's already really impressive, Luka's greatness, because LeBron was tweeting about it. Well, everybody was tweeting about it. Just about every superstar player you can think of was tweeting about Luka's shot. And LeBron, if LeBron's saying that really means something.
Yeah, for sure. I think, LeBron, and that's why I love LeBron too. Like, normally it's playoff LeBron and he's off social, but he's in a bubble. Like, we got to give him, these are special circumstances. But guys, when guys are watching other guys, that they have respect for him. So, wherever LeBron was doing, he was sitting here watching Luka's game like the rest of us were, and, was watching, like that moment. And just to know that, millions of people across the world seeing that moment, what's their reaction to it. And literally, I'm at the house. I got off the couch and screamed probably like 3 or 4 times in the third or fourth quarter, just with the stuff, the step backs and the stuff he was getting off. Where literally, I haven't done that since I was a kid. Like, but it was just like, literally the spirit took over me. The basketball guys took over me, and I just had to start screaming and yelling because this kid had me just in disbelief looking at what he's doing. So I'm excited about him. I think, that's what the one thing you love too, that, we didn't have the Warriors this year. We didn't have KD and Kyrie this year, but still getting that entertainment, and now kind of this next crop and next generation getting a chance to shine, and it makes you realize, the league's in good hands. So I know LeBron, I'm a big LeBron guy. LeBron year 17, this may be it for him in terms of just high-level basketball. But now I know Luka year 2, we got at least 10, 12 more years of Luka that's just literally going to be really, really exciting to watch.
Exactly. And then, people were, having that argument of comparing him to Trae Young, but I'm putting Luka over that right now, definitely. Because
and I'm a Trae guy. I rock with Trae too, but it's like Trae got to get there. The Hawks got to do the things necessary to give him a team that's competitive. And I'm excited to see where Trae goes too, because what he's doing also is like 30 pieces at that age. That's not normal. That's uncanny. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of young, like those two guys for sure. Devin Booker's another one. I mean, there's plenty. Donovan Mitchell, another young guy that's been going off. So there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them that are already stepping up. So it's like I said, just like you said, I can't wait to see where the league takes everybody, especially with these young guys. And then LeBron's probably looking at it like, yeah, I'm definitely giving the keys to these young cats that are just balling out. Because, like, you can put Harden, Westbrook, Durant, those guys in the middle because they're like the midpoint in their career. So I feel like they peaked because they're in their late 20s, early 30s now. So they're like at the peak point. So, and then who knows, they can still continue to peak because James Harden, I mean, he's one of the greatest scorers in the NBA right now, if not the greatest scorer. So it's like when you see that, there's plenty of room to go. So I put them in the middle, Bron at the top because, LeBron's already, like you said, year 17, already working his way down. But, so there's 3 different stages, I feel like, in somebody's NBA career. And it's very rare to make it to year 17. That's what LeBron did. So you got to give him the credit. Got to give him the credit for whether you like him or not. And I'm not even the biggest LeBron guy, but I still respect him. So that's why, I mean, you got to respect him. I'm not going to be like,
year 17 but the amount of minutes he's played, the amount of playoff minutes he's played, and a lot of people try to clown. It's just like at this point, I'm a big-time LeBron fan. It's like, and I don't care if you love or hate the man, but you got, year 17 performing at this level, back-to-back 30-point games as a 35-year-old, the stuff at the top of his head just decaying away. And this is for me. For me, I think about Kobe and around this point in his career, and I know like he had the Achilles and just it was a tough time. But looking at, and you really just appreciate everything these guys have been able to give. They're giving their heart, their body, their soul to this game, and just have to respect it. So I used to be a big Kobe slanderer back in my heyday. Around like last year before the season started, I'm just like, look, enough's enough. I got to give the man his due. Got to show him his love. And honestly, I feel so happy that I was able to do that. Obviously, before his passing, because before that it was always kind of going at Kobe and LeBron fans would all be battling and beefing, and just like, look, we're all Lakers, we're on that purple and gold family, man. Let's just rock out, let's win this ship because that's what Kobe wants, that's what LeBron wants. And when you look at those dudes, they really were friends. So it was like, we need to stop all this, squash the beef, and just have respect for all these guys. And if that's your GOAT, that's your GOAT. If LeBron's my GOAT, so what? Like, it is what it is.
Exactly. Like I'm not going to sit here and convince you, like, for example, so for the MJ stands, I'm not going to sit here and convince LeBron fans like, oh, Michael Jordan's a GOAT, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sit there and try to convince them because at the end of the day, you can't change people's minds. And then it's really hard to do that. So that's why at the end of the day, you got to respect every single one of those guys because they've definitely changed the game of basketball and they will always be remembered as the greatest players of all time for sure.
Yeah.
So last but not least, do you have any advice you'd like to provide for any of these young listeners out there?
I think I covered some of that within the body of the show, but tell everybody to keep working, man. Don't ever let the negativity, don't let the naysayers, don't let people, which you'll have tons of in life, people won't understand what you're doing, people will try to hate, people will try to project their insecurities onto you to make you think you're not doing the right path. Like, look, I was a man making memes a couple years ago, and I didn't really know what it would lead to. But now I feed my family doing it. I make good bread. I write TV shows. I do a little bit of everything. So I consider myself a unicorn where I can just step to the plate and do a bunch of different things. So never feel like you got to be boxed in, like especially young kids. Like I was telling you before, you get a job somewhere, like, yeah, that's the job, but what is the job you want? If you want to be whatever, follow that person, ask them questions. There's a lot of people that are willing to be mentors and help you out and help you get to where you need to go. There's also a lot of people that aren't, so forget them. Don't let them bring you down. Find the people that will rock with you and get you to where you need to be. And don't be afraid to lean on the older generation. I know we dinosaurs, but we've been in this game. I've seen a lot. There's a lot of advice and things I can tell you about just how the game works. So be able to soak it in. I think a lot of times kids think they have all the answers. They know everything. Like, no, you got a lot of life to live, a lot of bills to pay, a lot of situations you're going to have to figure out how to fix and do. And as you work in the sports game, just grind hard, man, especially and for you yourself, man. Just keep working. Thank you for having me on this show, man. It really touches my heart to see you out here doing it, trying to put a show together. I'm excited to see where this thing is at in 12 months, 24 months, whatever it may be. And for people like yourself, like reach out to shoot for the stars in terms of who you think you can get on, and, when you make a list. And see, a lot of those times those people are a lot easier to reach than you think, and people want to be supportive, especially in the artist creative community. So, just keep rocking out. Thanks for having me on, and best luck to everybody else out there, and thank y'all for watching.
Oh, man, like I said, I'm going to definitely take heed in what you said, and I really appreciate what you've done for everybody, especially the content you put out, the shows you write, everything that you do. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the advice you gave me, man. That meant a lot to me. And, this episode will be out ASAP.